and his recent push he's been receiving for the first time since WrestleMania 27, when he competed in Edge's final match of his career, something that took the wrestling world by total shock and a total obliviation. We're going to be talking about that. It wasn't expected that Edge was going to have his final match at WrestleMania 27. That's probably the reason why WWE made the decision to have Edge win the match and have him go out of the WWE on top as the world champion. It was previously decided that Alberto Del Rio was going to win the world title at WrestleMania this past year if Edge didn't retire. His retirement wasn't speculated to happen until the following year at WrestleMania 28, scheduled to feature The Rock versus John Cena and The Undertaker's eventual retirement. But it happened sooner than was expected, and Alberto Del Rio had to lose the match and not win the world title, so his push was kind of put on hiatus, kind of like WWE put WWE Bite This on WWE.com on hiatus many years ago. But it was very unfortunate that Alberto Del Rio didn't win the world title when it was already previously determined that he was going to win the world title and achieve his destiny at WrestleMania 27, one of the fastest rising superstars in the history of the WWE. And he was brought in with so much promise and so much hype. His promos were fantastic. His look and his character and his personality all added up to a future world champion. He kind of was a cross between JBL and Tito Santana, in the words of The Miz. He kind of had a JBL presentation about him coming in with a classic car each week on Raw while JBL had the limo. He came in dressed up well in tuxedos and towels, and he had kind of a Tito Santana presentation. Himself and Tito Santana actually worked together on the very first old school edition of Raw back in 2010, which I found pretty unique, all tying in with the Miz's comparison between himself, JBL, and Tito Santana. I think that he has a wonderful presentation about himself, and he has nothing but a promising future in WWE. If WWE, once again, I'm going to emphasize on this, book him right and book him in storylines that the fans are not going to lose interest in as quickly as they've lost interest in many storylines in the past. JBL's first run as a WWE champion back in 2004, which lasted from June of 2004 until April of 2005. It was interesting because he was always in programs that kept you on the edge of your seat. If Alberto Del Rio eventually wins the world title, what we're going to expect from his storylines are for them to be entertaining. Now, I know that the WWE roster is limited right now with entertaining superstars that you're used to seeing from week to week, with the ever-growing new talent initiative and expanding on that. So the one thing we're going to have to expect from Alberto Del Rio in his inaugural World or WWE title run after he cashes in the Money in the Bank contract is for him to be booked in entertaining storylines, whether he is the World Champion or the WWE Champion, or if he's not. Because if you don't have entertaining storylines, you're going to kill the Alberto Del Rio gimmick and the idea of him being on top of the WWE as quickly as he's supposedly supposed to be. Very quickly, you're going to lose interest in that very, very quickly, and that is a downside or a con to this whole Alberto Del Rio thing. I like the idea of him having his own personal ring announcer and his own classical car, which he spends anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 on each week as the storyline details. But I think that if you book Alberto Del Rio in entertaining feuds, which I'm hoping to see from him over the next 4 to 6 months, all building up to him cashing in the Money in the Bank contract eventually and winning the World or WWE title, I hope that he continues to be in entertaining storylines. You could easily get a 4 to 6 month reign as a WWE or World Champion. It was speculated that Alberto Del Rio was going to be challenging John Cena for the WWE title at SummerSlam, with the whole CM Punk John Cena storyline getting over so effectively on Raw right now at the present time, and how popular that is. Alberto Del Rio is going to kind of have to take a back seat to CM Punk and John Cena, given the overwhelming popularity that I think the storyline wasn't expected to have. WWE Creative is really going to be pleased with CM Punk. Philip is doing a wonderful job right now with that whole storyline, getting over with the fans as a guy who speaks the truth. The Cult of Personality theme song is great. Everything about the storyline is awesome, so I think that Alberto Del Rio unfortunately now has to take a back seat to CM Punk and John Cena and wait for the indefinite conclusion of that storyline, and then Alberto Del Rio will move in and capitalize on an opportunity. If he cashes in the Money in the Bank contract as early as SummerSlam and wins the World or WWE title, taking advantage of the whole CM Punk, John Cena, Rey Mysterio angle, which is developing now on Raw, then so be it. But I think that he's having to take a back seat right now, which is also unfortunate for Alberto Del Rio, given the fact that it was speculated that he was going to cash in on the opportunity to face John Cena for the WWE title at SummerSlam. During a backstage interview, I believe at a Raw taping, he actually hinted to Josh Matthews that he was going to challenge John Cena for the world title at SummerSlam. That doesn't seem to be the way WWE are going with the storylines right now, so once again Alberto Del Rio has to take a back seat. That's the unfortunate thing about Alberto Del Rio. This guy has so much promise, but every week it seems like he's having to take a back seat to somebody else who's booked in the main event over him. If he's such a main event level superstar, then why isn't he in the main event on Raw from week to week? We saw him wrestle John Cena several months ago on an edition of Raw in a very well planned out match, and it was pretty entertaining to see, and that was the only opportunity I had the opportunity to see Alberto Del Rio actually compete in a match with John Cena against, and I think it was around the time that John Cena was actually challenging The Miz at WrestleMania for the WWE title. Cena wasn't even the champion back then. So that gave us an idea of what a John Cena Alberto Del Rio program would potentially look like if it was for the WWE World title, which is eventually bound to happen at some point as Cena makes his way down the road to WrestleMania 28 and face The Rock. I'm looking forward to seeing Cena and Alberto Del Rio compete for a title in the future, because I think that Alberto Del Rio and John Cena are perfect examples of what the WWE New Talent Initiative has really become and elevated itself to. You have phenomenal talents like Evan Bourne, you have phenomenal talents on the Raw roster like Sheamus and a bunch of other superstars over there on SmackDown, and it seems like Alberto Del Rio and John Cena seem to be the headliners right now of the whole Raw side of things. When Alberto Del Rio was moved from SmackDown over to Raw in the 2011 draft, it seemed like he had a promising future, and you would think then they would make him a top contender for the WWE title, but they didn't do that. Rather, they decided to go down the same route as they took The Miz down last year, having him win the Money in the Bank contract. Everybody who's won the Money in the Bank contract over the last several years has cashed it in and gone on to win a world championship. 100% of the winners have gone on to cash it in and win a world title. Nobody has failed utilizing the Money in the Bank contract, so that kind of goes in Alberto Del Rio's favor. I don't know when he's going to cash it in. I would have to say it's going to be SummerSlam, if not then, probably around Survivor Series. SummerSlam has become known as the event where young superstars have capitalized on opportunities and became the world champion. Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton are perfect examples of that. Back in 2002, Brock Lesnar defeated The Rock in their only one-on-one encounter for the title, and in 2004, Randy Orton defeated the late Chris Benoit to capture his first world title, and his inaugural reign as the world champion only lasted about 1 month, believe it or not. They had a lack of faith, it seems, in Randy Orton. They had more faith in Brock Lesnar than they did Randy Orton, but it seems like SummerSlam, getting back to my initial point here, has become the event each year where young superstars have capitalized on opportunities to win the title. While Daniel Bryan promises to cash in his SmackDown Money in the Bank contract at WrestleMania 28, which he has the opportunity to do so because his Money in the Bank contract will still be under contract and still in effect by WrestleMania 28. It will not have reached its expiry date until July 18th of 2012. He'll be able to do that, so he'll have his opportunity to main event WrestleMania 28. They're going to make that interesting over there on SmackDown, so I think Alberto Del Rio will probably cash it in a few months before Bryan does at WrestleMania 28, making the SmackDown main event that more interesting. But I don't know really when Alberto Del Rio is going to cash it in. I would have to say around SummerSlam or Survivor Series. This is what I've been waiting to see Alberto Del Rio do. Here on HGW Entertainment Variety Radio, I talked about my prediction to win the Money in the Bank ladder match for Raw, as I do each year. And my pick to win, actually, for my pay-per-view picks on my website, if you click on the pay-per-view picks tab, you would have seen that I picked Alberto Del Rio as my initial pick to win the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match. And I believe for the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match, for some reason, I picked Kane over Daniel Bryan. So I went 1-on-1 there for that. I lost it on the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match, while my pick for the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match proved it to be the right one, as Alberto Del Rio went on to win his Money in the Bank contract for the first time, his first Money in the Bank contract, the concept that was derived by Chris Jericho back in '05, and he presented the idea to Eric Bischoff, and it's become a yearly tradition, just as some of Eric Bischoff's concepts have become a yearly tradition for WWE. Other concepts include the Raw Roulette concept and the Elimination Chamber concept, which would go on to become a infamous pay-per-view from year to year in WWE's yearly pay-per-view lineup. I think that this is great. This is what Alberto Del Rio has been waiting for. I mean, the guy wins the first ever 40-man Royal Rumble match. In over 25 years, this is the only 40-man Royal Rumble match that has happened. Alberto Del Rio eliminates Santino Marella as the final competitor to win the 40-man Royal Rumble match. He goes on to WrestleMania and basically loses to Edge in what would prove to be Edge's final match of his career, an absolutely unprecedented career that nobody's ever going to be able to match. 31 championships. I doubt Alberto Del Rio will reach that pinnacle in his career, and if he does, great for him. I doubt he's going to, but 31 championships is an unprecedented accomplishment, and I think that it definitely speaks volumes of what kinds of superstars really paved the way for people like Alberto Del Rio, with Edge winning 31 championships, Christian, Shawn Michaels, some of the Grand Slam winners. I think that Alberto Del Rio has a lot of hype now, and I think that this is what he's been waiting for. It was bound to happen. It was pretty obvious he was going to win the Money in the Bank ladder match at the Money in the Bank